Well, hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to Summer Sweet Shop. I am Summer and I'm so glad that you guys are here. And if you haven't seen, we are super excited to be jumping off our workshop that's happening in a couple weeks, all about how to make a full-time income with your cookies. And today I want to talk about what that actually looks like. Not many people talk about the business side of cookies and what that looks like, and I'm excited to dive into that with you today and give you some helpful tips and just kind of give you some insight of what that actually looks like. Because if you're like me, when I first started, I didn't intend for cookies to become my full-time gig. I didn't intend for it, definitely did not think about it becoming a full-time income for me and my family. And when I first started selling cookies, I didn't dream and think that it was going to be a full-time income. I started when my oldest was about a year old. I was a stay-at-home mom. We both knew, my husband and I both knew, that it was really important for one of the parents to stay home and to raise our kids. And so I was the one that was going to do that while he was working full-time and working outside of the home. And I had taken a cake decorating class and enjoyed that. And I made some cakes here and there. And then after my son was born, like I said, I saw these decorated sugar cookies. And I thought, oh man, that is so neat and fun. And I wonder if a lot of the same stuff that I learned in cake class, I bet that I could do the same thing with cookies. And started researching, started doing all the things. And so I started making decorated sugar cookies and loved it so much. And then my friends, you guys have heard this story before, my friends started asking me to make cookies for their events, for their celebrations, for their birthdays, for the showers, all of those things. And so I started selling my cookies. So I never intended to start out selling cookies. It was just something that happened. It was a hobby that was this thing that I enjoyed doing. And then it became a side hustle where I was making some income, a few $100 a week. And it started to grow because word of mouth started to happen. I would make cookies for someone, and then they would be at a birthday party and they would say, where did you get these cookies? These are so fun and beautiful. I want some just like them. And so that was how my business started to grow. And I said, whoa, okay, I got to get some business cards together. And whoa, I need to probably get like some type of website together. And I need to have an email address, right? Those are the ways that it started. I think it's important to note, I didn't have it all figured out when I started selling my cookies. If you don't hear anything else and get anything else from this video, it's that you don't have to have it all laid out, planned, ready to go in the beginning. I just wanted to be able to sell these cookies. I just want to be able to make more cookies. And my family can't eat all these cookies that I wanted to make, all of these designs that I would see, these inspirations of creativity that I saw. And having people to buy those cookies was a way that I could do that. I could still have this creative process that I didn't even know existed in my world. And so I started getting more orders. And like I said, I started figuring it out as I went. I didn't have it all figured out. I didn't know how to create invoices and how to create an order form to send to my customers, and how much do I charge for my cookies? I had no idea. I was literally learning as I went. My customers were learning alongside me because I didn't know. I had no idea. Well, what happened is I had that word of mouth started working really well, and my business started growing. And because I wanted that business to grow, I enjoyed it so much. Our family was able to pay for vacations with the money that I was bringing in for cookies. We were able to go out to eat more often with that money. We were able to pay for extracurricular activities like soccer and swim with that money that I was bringing in. And while I enjoyed it, I was taking on every order I could. I'm a people pleaser. I like to say I'm a recovering people pleaser. because I don't say yes all the time like I did back then. I would say yes to every order. And what happened was I started to wear busy as a badge. I started to say, oh, this is what is making me feel accomplished, was having a full calendar of orders. But what happened was it didn't feel great when I was getting less sleep at night because I was up all night working on orders, or I was stressed out because I had so many orders, and then I had to go and pick up kids at preschool and run them to soccer practice and all, and I was missing out on things that I really wanted to participate in, and I wasn't able to because I had said yes to these orders. And so I started to think there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way than the answer is not having more orders and taking on more orders. So what could I do? Because at the end of the day, when I looked at those amount of orders, when I looked at that income and it was that side income, I thought, I'm putting out a lot of effort and that's not bringing more income that I know that I can have. So I knew that that's where things had to change. I knew that I wanted to have I had goals of how much income I wanted to bring in each month. And that's really where things clicked with me. I remember it being at the end of December when things are just kind of crazy. And my business finally started to pay me like a real business when I made some changes in the business. We're going to get to those here. But I want to talk about too, what are some myths about making a full-time income with cookies that I think a lot of people fall into, a lot of people believe. There's a lot of stories floating around in our industry about having a full-time income with your cookies. And the honest truth is I used to believe a lot of these myself before I got my act together, when I was just winging it. And that myth number one is I just need to have more orders. I thought once my kids are in school full time, I'm going to have more time and I will be able to take on more orders. I'll be able to have more custom orders. I'll be able to take more holiday orders. And I realized quickly after my youngest was in school full time, after my oldest went to kindergarten, it wasn't that I was going to have, that was not the answer, was to take on more orders, right? Myth number two is if you are booked out, you are making it. You have that sign of achievement that you are just doing it. If that calendar is completely full, you're doing great. Well, that was not it. That was not the case. That was totally a bag of goods that someone sold me that, oh, this is how you are to do it. And you might be booked out, but are you booked out charging the right prices? Are you booked out doing the right orders that are bringing you joy? And then myth number three is custom orders is the only way to earn money in our industry. And I learned that as I was taking on custom orders and trying to just keep my head above water of getting invoices sent out, getting pictures of those cookies, marketing those custom orders, getting those cookies packaged up and to my customer in a timely fashion. I realized that it can't only be about selling more custom orders. It can't only be about that. There has to be more. There has to be an easier, more scalable way to do this that can bring in more income, but you're not working as hard as you are like you do with custom orders. So I started by breaking down the numbers. I highly encourage you to do this, to really break down the numbers and to see what is coming in and what is going out. So here's the part I think that a lot of cookiers skip, is really doing the math. Listen, I'm not a math person. I don't like the numbers. I don't enjoy doing that, but I knew that it was super important in my business. So here's what I did. If I set a goal that I want to make $3,000 a month, I knew that I could do that. I started doing the math of how could I do that. So if I sold 60 dozen cookies at, let's say I was charging $50 for a dozen, which 60 dozen cookies in a month is a lot. Or I started saying, wait, about this time is when I started teaching classes. And I said, wait, I could do 4 classes and charge $75 for that class with, let's say, 20 students each, which was totally doable. That was much higher profits. That sounded much better. Same profits, making $3,000 a month. But wait, 4 classes, teaching 4 classes a month, that sounds way more doable than doing 60 dozen custom cookies in a week. And then mix in like some pre-sales. If I did some holiday pre-sales in there, some pre-orders, maybe some seasonal boxes that I was working on to kind of spread out that workload. And so I say all this to talk about these numbers, that once you know those numbers, then you have a better idea of those options that are available to you. That you're not just stuck in this rat race of custom orders all the time, in and out, in and out, in and out, right? You have options so that you're not overloading yourself and you're not burning yourself out. So I want you to make sure that you are doing those numbers before you get started. Okay, so the secret to scalable, repeatable offers, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking at like, how can I work smarter and not harder? I feel like that is the epitome. That's what every cookier is chasing. How can I work smarter and not harder? How do you get those repeatable offers for people that they want to buy from you all the time, but you are not putting in more hours? So full-time income, it doesn't happen by hustling harder. That is the biggest myth, is full-time income doesn't come by hustling harder. I feel like I had to say that a second time to get the people in the back, right? It happens by creating offers that you can repeat and improve on. I love sharing this with my Next Level Cookie Club of when they're selling their pre-orders, that you're not reinventing the wheel every holiday season, every Halloween, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, right? You're doing what works. Look at what works and what doesn't work, and you're gonna do more of what works, right? So seasonal pre-orders, you're gonna reuse designs that worked really well last year. You don't have to have a new pumpkin cutter set. You don't have to have a new set of minis, right? What are the things that worked really, really well for you before? Maybe you offered mini packs at Valentine's Day and they worked really well. And you're like, I'm gonna try and do mini packs this year for Halloween or for Christmas. Think about doing monthly or quarterly cookie classes. Dipping your toes into classes can be a huge way for you to increase your income of your cookie business. And just because you teach one class and you put one class on your calendar does not mean that you're committing to teaching a class every single month. It's just dipping your toes into it, seeing if that's something that you like, seeing if that's something that your audience wants. Because a lot of times they're already asking you for those classes. You can think about doing DIY kits as well. I love doing DIY kits around the holiday season, whether that is for Halloween, doing them at Christmas. They are always a big hit with the kids, with those moms who are looking for different things. And again, you're not decorating all of those cookies in that cookie kit. Those are ones that you're giving them uniced cookies, you're giving them the icing, giving them some instructions, and you're able to do that on a repeatable pattern. So these are ideas that take less creativity each month, and you're able to increase your income in your business. So what are the things that I track every month in my business when we're talking about a full-time income? So to stay on target for your income goals, these are the 4 things that I really keep track of. Number 1 is the revenue per offer. So what are the products that I am offering that are actually making money? What are the things that, not where I'm breaking even, I want to know what are the things that are really bringing in the revenue. Question number 2 is those profit margins. This is one that nobody likes to look at, but looking at your expenses, you got to ask, are they eating up my profits? Are they eating up what's coming in? If you're spending all of your profits in packaging and your time, then you need to reevaluate and say, maybe I need to take away some of that packaging, that it's not costing me so much money. Maybe you have too much of a robust website and you need to dial it back a little bit and simplify it. So keep that in mind. What are your expenses every month? Maybe you're using premium ingredients with your cookies and you either dial it back a little bit or you say, hey, I need to charge a little bit more. But really looking at that profit margin and saying, where can we increase that profit margin and really it's not about, hey, we need to do one or the other and we need to change, either increase the prices or decrease our expenses. But it could just be, you just need to know what they are. It's super important. I also looked at my time spent. This is a huge one for cookiers, and where we really, really struggle is how much time are we spending on our cookies, and are there things that I can be doing to save time? Am I making cookie dough several days a week when I really should be batching that and baking my cookies on one day? So think about that. Maybe there's some ways that you can cut down on your color options and making all of that icing and coloring all of your icing. So those are some ways that you can really look at increasing your profits by saving you time. And then the fourth question I look at is booking my calendar. So do I have a mix of big selling options and versus high margin offers? What are you looking at? If you're doing 6 orders and they're all at a dozen with different colors, different designs, that's going to take you a lot more time. It's going to eat into your profits. It's going to take you a lot more time than if you have 3 orders making the same amount of cookies, 3 orders with 2 dozen cookies each. So you're only you're making 3 sets of designs, 3 sets of color palettes, right? It's going to take you a lot less time. So think about what you are offering. What are you saying yes to? And think about those minimums. The bottom line here, guys, is going full-time with cookies is 100% possible. You can totally make a full-time income with your cookies. But the trick is you have to have a clear plan. You have to have realistic numbers, and you got to have offers that you're able to scale. Not offers that are going to cost you more time, but offers that are going to save you time and they're going to allow you to work smarter, not harder. So I want you to put in the comments below what is something that you are going to start to implement this week or this next holiday season that you're like, I need to do that. I need to be smarter. I need to work on my pricing. I need to work on how my assembly line, my processes there. Let me know in the comments what it is that you are committed to working on, and then join me for our how to make a full-time income from your cookies happening in a couple of weeks. We'll have the link there below in the comments because I want you to join me for this workshop. We're talking about pricing, we're talking about your processes, and we are talking about your profits. So join me for that workshop. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see each of you in there. And guys, did I mention that it's free? So super excited. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye, guys.